in 2 seasons, we win 2 cups. We were in the Champions League. Now we are going to the Europa League. But what you see is we're constructing a team with incredible good players, but we need more good players because still also we have weaknesses, and we have to make it that we also in the depth that we need players who help the team, and then you can only be consistent, and that is what we need.
Right, let's speak to talkSPORT's Manchester correspondent Micky Gray joins us now. All right, Mick.
Mickey.
How are we doing?
I'm good, mate. We pulled you out of bed.
No, I'm still in it.
Is this on Zoom?
You'd like it on Zoom.
Yeah, damn right.
Mickey, look, big story coming out, breaking news. He's staying. What do you think the thoughts are going to be up in Manchester right now?
Well, I think it's going to be split, Jamie, I've got to say, because I think it's been like that throughout the whole of the season. Just listening to you there, and you're right, I think every other week it seemed to be a poor performance from Manchester United, and Erik ten Hag was going to be walking out the door, and it was going to be who was coming in next. And I've got to be completely honest with you, and I went to a lot of his press conferences throughout the whole of the season. He never, ever looked, and he never spoke like he was walking out the door. And he kept going back to the injuries that they had. I think it was 14 or 15 different partnerships at centre-half. You think about Luke Shaw being out throughout the whole of the season. It was one of those seasons that never got going for them, and all you really did, you saw the best performances from them, which came in the cup competitions, and at the end of that, they got the FA Cup final and won it.
Yeah, there's no doubt that injuries have a big impact on squads. If you're missing your best players, and clearly they were decimated at the back, they weren't the only team. There were a lot of other teams that had to deal with injuries. But the thing that I couldn't get past was how consistently bad they were. And I know teams have injuries. I get that, but some of the performances, they were some of the worst performances I've seen from a Man United side. If injuries happen again, he's got to ensure that some of those performances he turns those ones around if there are injury or suspensions.
No, you're 100% right, Jason. Their performances were really shocking, weren't they, throughout the whole of the season? And I think it was a surprise to everybody how they stayed so close to the top of the table throughout the season. Go back to the first day of the season when they got really fortunate against Wolves, and nothing really changed from that moment, did it? Let's be completely honest with you. But I think he'll know Erik ten Hag now, albeit I think he's going to be signing a new contract, that he's under severe pressure at the beginning of next season, albeit, he's won 2 cup competitions in his 2 seasons in charge. He's got to another final. He talked about being in the Champions League. Obviously, it's Europa League for them next season, but if they don't hit the ground running and they don't show us the style of football, I think that's one of the big things that came out for me, is what the style of football was. If you think about a one-off game, and that game against Man City, the way he set up, pretty much without a centre-forward in the team, they were absolutely outstanding, certainly for the first 45 minutes anyway. And I don't know if that's a route that he wants to go down next season. He's got to bring in players, and as you mentioned there, they've got to stay fit. But minimum, it has to be Champions League football for Manchester United next season. If it's not, then he's got to walk.
It's all well and good playing like that, Mick, against Man City, because they knew they're going to have less of the ball. Tactically, it was a brilliant performance, one of the best tactical performances I've seen from Ten Hag. But we all know that that's okay against City. You can't play like that home against Palace or Wolves. The fans will, and understandably, absolutely rightly so, will be expecting to see a brand of football that shows they want to attack with intent, and that's something that he's going to have to get right. Especially
he's got to get that. He's got to get that spot on. He really has, and I think, like you say, hitting the ground running is absolutely key for Manchester United. Whatever players that they recruit in the summer, I think there might be a couple more players walking out the door as well. Let's talk about Sancho, maybe permanently signing for Dortmund as well. They've got to make those replacements, and they can't make mistakes anymore. They've made too many mistakes over the last decade. I think you have to go that far back. I know that's not all down to Erik ten Hag, but some of the players that he's brought in, they underachieved last season when they were fit. But we've got to see Manchester United back fighting at the top of the table. If that doesn't happen in the first 6 to 7 weeks of the Premier League season, I think he'll know himself that he's under severe pressure.
Mick, just on them as a football club in terms of being back to sign players, are they looking?
This will help, won't it? When you're negotiating with a player, imagine trying to sit down with Man United and say, well, who's in charge next season? Now this will give them a footing to go out and influence players have a chat, their agents.
Will they back him? They have to. If he's a manager.
Well, the thing is, Jamie, I mean, the FFP thing's a problem for Manchester United. It has been over the last couple of seasons. So that's certainly something that they've got to look at. And that's why I said that I think players might be leaving the club as well. So if Sancho does leave the club, whether it's for 40, 50, 60 million pound, I don't know what it's going to be, it's going to help Man United bring in and recruit the players that they want to bring in. And I think when you listen to Sir Jim Ratcliffe when he was speaking, he talks about bringing in a younger generation, not so much experienced players, saying that it's easy to go out and find an Mbappe and sign him for 100 million quid. But he says, I don't want to do that. He said, we want to find the next Mbappe. So it looks like they're going to go young. I think there was talk of Branthwaite walking through the door. I think there's talk of Elise from Crystal Palace. Paulinho I saw the other day. But by the end of this, or even the beginning of this transfer window, Man United will be speculated with absolutely every single player. And there's always a couple of stars at the Euros as well that everybody seems to go for. And Man United will be interested in them all.
The Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.